Taking forever. There we go. Hey!
Hello!
Hello! That's like our unofficial theme song, the countdown music, that public domain countdown music. And I swear it's deceptive because it sounds like for the first maybe 2-3 seconds, it's faster, and then it feels like it slows down. But I was keeping time to the drums, and it never does slow down. It's just it's not an optical illusion. It's an aural illusion.
A-U-R-A-L.
Yes,
Yeah.
using my big words. So, welcome everybody. I'm Ian. That's Jerrod. This is Ian and Jerrod's Humpday Extravaganza. How you doing, bud?
I got rid of my hiccups just in time, literally during the countdown.
Yep.
And I just know they're going to sneak back up on
They'll sneak up. Hey, they're an uninvited guest, but we welcome all. We welcome all. Yeah, just before we went on Jerrod got the hiccups like 2 seconds before I hit the go live button, and then they miraculously disappeared. I think it's because you were getting nervous about going on show. It was like the scared your hiccup was out of you.
That's what it is. Terrifying with all of these viewers watching right now. That's in my head.
I like how your YouTube stream keeps coming in and out. Like I'm getting the count, then it's gone, then it's you. This is back again. Jared's watching.
Basically doing the show for me.
That's it.
11 seconds in the past.
That's impressive that you can perform and enjoy with
right.
I like that's some higher brain function that I do not have.
Multitasking. It's rare that I can both perform and enjoy anything at the same time.
Oh, I'll tell you something. So, my big thing I wanted to talk about is last Friday night, my the 20 months of not performing improv in a live venue came to an end, and I performed. Yeah, I performed with my house team, Cleta's Doublethink, and it was kind of interesting. I really thought I was going to have a rusty show. I was prepared for a rusty show. We had only had 2 rehearsals, and they had performed. I couldn't make our first show. So, not only was I coming in kind of, out of practice, but with a group that, the more you perform together, you start to anticipate. So they're that much further, they've had that time together. So I kind of was like, all right, you kind of, I don't know. For those of you who aren't performers out there, I don't know if you get, but I just tend to have to set my expectations of what I think I'm going to get out of the show. Because if you go in there thinking you're going to have a great show, 99.9% of the time you're going to be very disappointed. And for me, I get in my head, and that doesn't do anybody any good ever. So I just kind of was like, all right, get in there. You're gonna have slid back in what you remember and all that stuff. So that didn't happen, and I attribute it a little bit to, and I don't think he'd mind saying this, but Josh Dixon's on my team, the very, very funny Josh Dixon, and he's very much into mindful meditation, as am I. I use it a lot for anxiety and other things, and nope, just anxiety, really, not any other things. But we did a little bit as a team, a little bit of mindfulness, and went right on the stage. Like we finished as we were getting introduced, and I just had a set that I was just in the moment, and I just remember thinking, oh, what I said was what I needed to say at that point, and I got the response from the audience that I'm looking for. And then I even sang twice on stage, and I'm not one. I mean, I've done musical improv and I love it, but I'm not one that would seek out to do that when it's not a musical show. So the fact that I was in the moment enough to bust out a song was like, I just, it was like, wow, not only did you do some things, you did things that I don't know if I would have done 20 months ago, so I didn't think I'd improve, and it felt like I'd improved a little, so it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, one thing I found is when we do like a pig, we as you know, we shuffle the house teams.
Yep.
About once a year.
Yeah.
It's always exciting because I like everybody there a lot, and getting to you always miss your friends that you were performing with, but it's always exciting
to try new folks. Yeah.
Yeah, to perform with different friends that maybe you haven't performed with before, and try a new form. All of that stuff. And what I found is the first few shows are pretty good. Maybe the very first one's a little, but they tend to be good.
Oh, that's a good call.
And then as time goes on, they start to sink a little. And what I found, the reason for that is what you said. You start getting these expectations of, I need to be better. We're doing more. We've been successful. I need to put in this effort to improve. And what gets out of that rut is saying, you know what? My primary focus in this show is going to be to have fun.
Yep.
Because when you have fun performing, when you're having fun, the audience
has fun. And you always forget that, but that is absolutely true. I also think we're doing what I would consider, it's not a complicated form. And so I'm not having to hold complex things that I need to do to make the form what it is. I think there's real benefit in doing complex forms. Like, are you on the Herald team?
I'm on the Herald.
Yeah, so you're doing one of the more complex forms, but that sometimes can really mess me up. Like I'm so what do I have to bring back to the scene that I miss the honest reactions? So I don't know. I'm not good enough an improviser right now to do that consistently. Probably means I probably should do it more, so I practice it and would get better at it. But I'm just real happy to be, like, my team came up with a real premise. I like it. What we're doing is for our opener, we're just doing documentary style, where we just go out in pairs and we pretend we're talking to a camera and explaining, kind of like When Harry Met Sally type of interviews, and then that's, we go from there. That's where we get our inspirations and go from there. So once it's done, it's done. There isn't any bring it back. It's a regular montage after that. So this is real inside baseball.
Yeah, and you talk about like the forms and everything. We're kind of going through on the Herald team right now is like, how tight do we want to be with that form? And I'm usually the one who, if I'm going to do a form, I like it to be a very tight
form.
And
me too.
We have other people I respect quite a bit, who I know from years past like a looser form.
Yeah. If we hit the form, great, but as long as I hear you.
So we're kind of feeling that out, and one of the ways that it came up with was tagouts in a Herald.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about it, and my thing was, I think that'd be more of a second beat thing.
Yeah.
It'd be a tough thing to remember in the first beat. And I can't wait to talk to the team again, because the more I think about it, the more I think, why put something artificial in place to keep ourselves from being able to be as successful as possible?
Right.
We have Julie on our team, who is not watching, so she's missing my compliment. Julie is maybe the best I've ever worked around at, like, walk-ons and tagouts.
Yeah.
She's amazing at that. Just great sense of timing, great buttons.
Yeah.
The more I was thinking about it, it's like, why would we keep ourselves from being able to have that? We have somebody who's so good, so talented at that. Why would we keep ourselves from being able to bring that to the show? So I'm excited to talk to the team about kind of, what my thoughts are on it. And I have to be careful, because I know I can be very, I try not to be, but I think I can be very like, well, this is what we should do. Like, as if I'm,
a
very guy thing.
Well, but also, one of the great things about Pig is we're comfortable with everybody, right?
Yeah.
And we're very opinionated. I don't think there's anybody in the organization that isn't opinionated. And pridefully will say they're opinionated in a good way. I know that's one of the things. We're honest with one another, and I feel like while certainly there's conflict, we have the tools to be able to work through it and that sort of thing. So yeah, I totally agree, but I wouldn't worry too much about that because I feel like I know who's on your team, and I'm like, they would tell you to be, hey, I don't agree with you, which is empowering because then you're like, okay, I can say what I want, and nobody's going to be keeping silent and just going my way. I can say what I want and know that it's not going to be heavy-handed and that sort of thing, which is a gift,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But oh golly, I forgot what I was going to say.
We have viewers. I'm going to say hi to them while you collect your thoughts. So, folks, we have viewer. Let me just put it out there. We have Jerrod and viewer. So feel free to write to us in the comments. We're monitoring them, and we'll throw them up on screen. And we really like this to be a community thing and not just the two of us talking at one another. Or else you're going to hear bad improv stories for an hour and a half. So
I remember.
There it is. I gave him enough time.
I talked a little bit about it, but I hadn't gotten to the point where it's like, in this show, my focus is just going to be having fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm teaching level 2 right now.
Oh, yeah.
With Mike Dunn, who's also on my team. So, like, at our last show, we had somebody from the class at the show. So I was really putting a lot of focus on, like, very clear games.
Isn't that a weird pressure when you love it? Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's true. It changes my whole focus of my performance so that I can use it as a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. That's good.
It's funny because Mike is such a funny guy.
Yeah.
Funny person that I guess he did another set at 9 that night, and we were talking about shows in the class. Like the one person, and it's still a fight to get him to show up to shows. One person was at the show, had seen Mike in a few, and she's like, "You were so funny at that." And on the one hand, it's like Mike is really funny. Like I pay money to watch Mike perform, but on the other hand, it's like I was performing too,
I had a full-on 5-minute conversation with Matt Pina, thinking he was Mikey Dunn, and then finally Matt had to say, "You're talking about," because I was actually saying you were raving about him as a TA, and he's like, that's when he clued in. He was like, "Ian, I'm Matt. You're thinking of Mike." And Mike was right around the corner, so I was just like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Thank God they have a good sense of humor," because I really was, and I'm like, I had both of them. Like, I was their level 1 teacher. I've known them as long as they've been in Pig. I've done all through pandemic. I've worked with them a bunch. We've been on their podcast. They've done Wilty a million times. It was just, I blame the masks. I do blame the masks. And I'm not kidding about that. I went to a conference and I really was having a hard time recognizing colleagues I hadn't seen in a couple of years. Yeah. And like they'd come up and I'd have to go, oh, okay, that's who that is. So I blame the mask. It wasn't that I'm about to turn 50. It was and it's not that I'm so aloof that I don't pay attention to people and can't recognize them. So anyways.
Some real inside baseball. So we're even like naming names of the people that we perform with and everything. Our nationwide crowd doesn't know who we're talking about.
No, we don't even know who is in our crowd. We can't even pander to them.
That's right.
Yeah, it could be Mike. It could be Matt. It could be.
You wouldn't know.
No, you know what? It would not, because the comments would be all over the place. They would be commenting. Any improviser. I think we got a non-improviser because they're very quiet and yeah. So anyways, all right. So our show this week, our topic, as you know, we come up with a topic usually about 8 hours before the show. And actually, if Jerrod didn't remind me last night that we had a show today, we might have had some dead air during this time. But we come up with a topic to discuss, and I said, should we do Thanksgiving? It is that time, but it was a 2 on the nose, but I do feel thankful. I feel it is a good topic, and I don't think it's ever one that you can hear too much of at this time of the year, talking about what's being thankful, but especially this year, because although we're not out of the woods yet, it's a lot better than it was a year ago at this time, when everybody was wondering, can I go home for the holidays? Can I, with vaccines and vaccines. You can do things a little bit safer and not, getting everybody sick and making yourself sick, hopefully. Or if you do make people sick, the repercussions aren't as severe as they were a year ago. So, yeah, I'm just thankful that we're in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, last year around the holidays, I had a grandmother who was very sick.
Mm-hmm.
I was terrified about. I don't think I did Thanksgiving last year. In fact, I don't remember. I think I was just so terrified about getting her sick because she would not have been able to recover.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think that's the move I ended up making. And then
yeah.
she did pass away in the spring. Not to bring it down during this, but that's just how it worked out, and it's like such a difference. I think it's a massive difference between last year and this year. Certainly we're not at complete normalcy.
No,
but we are like just up down the street from normalcy. Like the blinker is on. We are so close to what life used to be like compared to what it was last year when it was. I was terrified of getting other people sick.
Yeah.
I wasn't super worried about myself. I mean, I wasn't looking to get sick or anything like that. But it was really just the fear of getting other people, older people, much younger people, little kids, or just really anybody. So this year, I really feel like, I can be around a family again. Am I a little bit worried about the vaccine in the context of, people are having to get boosters? They say the efficacy has gone down. Yes, to a point, to the point where I still need to get my flu shot. But if they were like, "Hey, you want a COVID booster?" I would certainly say yes.
Well, you can now. Providence, they just announced 18 and over.
Oh, just everybody, yeah. So
so you can go. You can
to do that. Just go and do that, and
yeah.
But my whole family, like everybody's also gotten vaccinated. So
right.
Like if I do a Thanksgiving with family, my friends that I have are all people who have gotten vaccinated. So I feel in that respect that's just, it's such an increased level of safety when it's not just me, but also the people that I would be in close quarters with.
Yeah, my family had a little bit of a conundrum about what to do for the holiday. We will, my parents and my sister and my nephew and my brother-in-law will definitely get together, but we're really tight with my cousins on my mom's side, and there's a lot of people that come together for Thanksgiving and then Christmas. And when the decision was being made, I got really nervous about all those people together inside, and there was no way to 3-foot distance. And at work, that's such a big thing, is that we 3-foot distancing, masks on. And I just was like, there's no way to do it. And so the decision was made not to do the big external gathering. And now I'm kind of regretting it because I don't think it's as big a deal. So I do think we'll do Christmas with them. That would be hard for me to miss, just because, and especially for, my mom is getting older, you start to think how many more are left and that sort of thing. So, I think, but that was hard. We made the decision and now we've committed to it, that we're not going to see them for Thanksgiving. And it really was, I think it was a little knee jerky. And I think I led the charge saying, I don't know how comfortable I am. And I kind of think I jumped the gun a little bit, but that's the nice thing, is that there's another holiday right around the corner, and we'll see him then. So yeah.
I'm just hoping we can continue the march to normalcy.
Yeah.
There's the people who are saying this might be a for the rest of our lives kind of thing, like the flu is.
Sure.
Maybe, but I also, every other big pandemic that's ever come through mankind has eventually run its course. And, an important note about the flu, that it comes back, but what we call the flu are a few different separate SARS influenza viruses, whereas COVID, while there's different variations, is a more narrow virus. That's why the vaccinations that we got work for all the different types of COVID.
Yeah, and Jerrod, it isn't going to go back to normal because it's already changed. I mean, work from home is different. So many people aren't going to go back, and that has repercussions over. Even if you're not working from home, you may know somebody that's working from home. So it does. Our society has already changed. You can't go through something like this that had such an acute impact on how we live our lives, and then go back. There's going to be changes, good and bad, that happen from it. And I think that's where people don't like change. I don't think it's in our nature to like change. We don't like it. And I think that's what getting used to it is. I think you got to define normal. And I do think we'll get back to how it was, where we don't have to think twice about eating out at a restaurant, going to a movie, going to the theater. Right, yeah. Maybe the masks, the masks will go away at some point. Now, again, some people may choose to wear them because I haven't been sick in 20 months. So, and that's rare for me. I'm usually a yearly cold guy, so, yeah. So I do think, but I think it'll be, and then I think it'll be incremental. I think we'll get to like 90% back. And then it'll be a slow getting to whatever 100% is, given all the changes and stuff like that. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I've lived in places where people wear masks, like in Japan, people would wear masks.
Yeah.
Just normally when they were feeling ill, I think there's been more negative than positive that has come out of all of this.
And that I think is bigger. I think that's a bigger comment on American society right now. Yeah. I don't think it seems like now I've just realized like the two sides they will divide and argue over any topic.
Right.
I think we're not a political show, but I just, people consume media and they regurgitate what they've heard. And on both sides, this isn't a political, this is, I've seen, conservatives do it. I've seen liberals do it. They hear what they cherry pick what they like and repeat it. And we need to, as a society, figure out a way to maybe not do that so much, Yeah.
And I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But everybody can be thankful that tonight will not be the night I share all of those thoughts with all of you.
Yeah, this is as serious as we've ever gotten in our months of shows. I feel responsible. I'm the one that keeps bringing it there. I'm in an intellectual mood tonight.
So when I was thinking about thankfulness, I found that what I was thinking a lot of was gratefulness.
Right.
And I don't know how, I probably have to stop and think about it for a while to really figure out how to define the difference between being thankful and being grateful. I think they're very closely aligned because me, anybody who knows me knows I am a positive person. Like everybody else, I have my bad days. I have the things I'm just not as cool with as other things. But in general, I'm a positive person. And I think part of being able to be a positive person is to realize the positive things that are going on around me that I can enjoy, which I feel like grateful is a better word than thankful for those things. But again, they might be completely the same.
So while you've been talking, I've been thinking about it because I never really thought about it. I think thankful to thank is a verb. And I think thankful is very much, I am thankful to people. It's the act of being grateful. I feel like grateful is internalized. It's a feeling. And then when you act upon it, that's your thankfulness. That's how and I don't know if that's true. I'm not, don't call me Webster. I don't know.
I mean, that's fair. You're probably wrong, but that's
probably
fair. Absolutely.
Doesn't stop me from saying it with authority though. Does not.
And I can swing between being a thankful or being a grateful person and just being like pissed off. Any singular trip to the grocery store, I will definitely swing between those things. To be like, oh wow, the grapes, they're nice and firm. This is great. All the bananas, they're perfect right now. This is great. Oh, why did you have to stop right at the part of the aisle where they've also got that stupid little cardboard thing sticking out? You
sticking out
a little before or a little after when I'm trying to walk. Like I live in both worlds
No, I hear you.
at the same time.
And I think the difference between I think we all have that. It's what's well, we all have that. I thought of a idiom, but we all have that. It's what you let come through that defines you. And I find that whenever I get in the negative, if I can find a little bit of that positive, those firm grapes, that can kind of smooth out the idiot that stopped at the end cap, and
I think that's the difference between being a little just kind of like grrr in that moment, and being somebody who goes into a public space and starts flipping out and making a big deal over something that is pretty insignificant. I think that's the difference. I will also say one move I make when I go grocery shopping is I go through the bakery and just look. I like a little kid, just look and dream. Lately, I've been weak and been getting stuff, and you know what? I'm fine with that. Short-term happiness, long-term sadness, that's okay. That is okay. I'll let future Jerrod deal with that.
Deal with that.
Future Jerrod? He's a pretty positive guy.
Yeah.
Put a positive spin on it.
And you're going to put so much on future Jerrod that he's still going to need the sweets to because he'll have a lot more on his plate then.
Future Jerrod spends an incredible amount of time in the gym.
Oh, really?
Present Jerrod spends zero time. Future Jerrod, he is a gym rat.
Yeah. Well, my view is like, all right, we're on this earth for, average of 80 years. I'm hoping to get up to 80. I don't want to wear out my joints now. And exercising just wears out joints.
Right.
I want to go for long term. All these people with joint issues, I believe we're heavy gym users. That's my, I don't have any scientific data,
right,
but that's my belief.
So another thing that has got me kind of thinking.
Hi, Amy.
What better timing, right? Another thing that has got me thinking, when you talked about thankfulness before in the text, really got me thinking about it is just we had an incident at work recently. So I work at a small business. There's a business owner, but we also have one manager there. And the manager's wonderful. I've been in management. Management is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason I never want to do that ever again. And, our manager has been trying, we have a morning meeting to start off the day, has been trying to make things positive, start off with some positivity. And it's such human nature to find the grumbly side of things and I'm not going to be positive. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And I thought back to even my entire adult life in whatever workplace, military, civilian, how there was times where I would have to stop and be like, all right, we're stopping the complaining. I cannot listen to the complaining anymore. And you know what I found is when you do that at first, and usually it's been quite a bit firmer than the way that I just said it there, because usually I'm so exasperated at that moment.
Yeah, it's a frustrated gasp of no more negativity.
Yeah, because you edit it, you're putting so much effort into making things not be terrible, and then people are just complaining, and it's like, come on, you just can't do it anymore. And what I notice is just that whole thing. We're done with the complaining. I'm not going to listen to complaining anymore. If you've got a complaint, you know what? Unless you have a solution, I really don't want to hear it. We're just complaining too much, and that's what I retire. That kind of speech. Right after, in that moment, you get a lot of people grumbling, I guess we're not allowed to say how we feel anymore. That whole thing, every single time. But then after that, things actually are better.
Yeah, because you called them out. They're embarrassed that nobody wants to be caught being the negative person or needed, so they have to go through their whole but then it impacts them.
I think there's something to that. I also think that happiness is a choice.
Yeah.
And I want to qualify that because, people will bring up people who suffer from depression who, they sit there hearing people say, happiness is a choice. Great. Be grateful for what you have is a choice. And my response to that is, everybody, I have so many friends that suffer through depression. We've all had periods in our lives when that has happened. And I have almost never found a lack of gratefulness to be a part of it. In fact, what you get with a lot of people is you should be grateful for this, you should be thankful for that, and them saying, I know, and I am grateful for those things, thankful for those things, but I'm still.
Yeah, I mean,
well.
like you said, happiness is a choice. Depression is not.
Exactly.
And
I wanted to say all of that before I said the happiness is a choice thing. And I think sometimes when people get some of the negative choices taken from them, they're only left with a positive one. Not saying that's a good long-term solution or anything like that, but helping people make that choice to be happy can, in fact, help make them happy.
I'm racking my brain, Jerrod. There's this idiom that says we all have two, like a bear, a wolf, and
we all have two wolves within us. It's the way I heard it was the story. The old man and the young boy were sitting together.
Yeah.
And the old man, have you ever heard the story of the two wolves? No, tell me the story. There are two wolves within each of us. There is one wolf that is full of hate and anger and unhappiness. And there's another wolf that's full of happiness and joy and caring and giving. And those two wolves are always fighting each other. And the young boy asked, so which wolf wins? And the old man responded, the one that you feed.
Yep, that's the one. Nicely done. Nicely done. Yeah, I think, there's two things, and I'm going to share both, although only one has to do with thankfulness. There's two things that I've taken away when it comes to work life. The first thing is I used to, when the honeymoon's over, especially at your first job, and you're so used to being in college or whatever your life was, high school, wherever it is, but that first job where you have real responsibilities and bills and everything. Once the honeymoon's over, the weekends were so great, and then Sunday would come, and around dinner time you start dreading the next day. I would actually articulate, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. That was in my head, and it was said multiple times. And then I must have been told this, and I thought about it, but don't feed that. Don't dread. Yeah, it stinks. You don't want your weekend to end. I get it, but maybe articulate that. I don't want the weekend to end, but don't start making your job sound like I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work, because it manifests. The other thing that doesn't really have to do with that is pick a point on your commute home, and that's the point when you're heading home. You stop thinking about work, and when you're heading in, that you start thinking about work. I learned that in grad school, and it has been life-changing. As a chronic overthinker, if I have a day, like if I leave and there's a lot of unfinished stuff, maybe I had a bad day, maybe I had a bad conversation, and I really want to ruminate on it, boy, I just am like, for me, it's when I get onto Route 4. I get off 95 and get onto Route 4. Day's done, and then the next day, okay, you can start thinking about how you're going to handle that interaction or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, those are the two.
Well, I remember my last job I was really struggling with for a while there. And
yeah.
You saying that once, hearing you say that once, I was like, I need to pull that into my life, because it was just so bad all the time, and it gets in your head. But I also, one thing I like to say is, don't let a bad moment give you a bad day.
Right.
Don't let one bad day give you a whole bad week or a whole bad month, because it's very easy to let that happen, and it can just take over. It can really take over, and it's hard sometimes when it's someone you're around where you feel like you have to shake them a little, and they're like, "Oh, I made a mistake yesterday. I can't stop." And we've all been there.
Yeah.
We all still have those nights. I'm sorry, I had a Coke Zero with some chicken wings at dinner tonight, and
it is repeating. Yeah. I'm having chicken wings after this. I'm excited,
man. But you're about to fall asleep and you remember some stupid thing you said 15 years ago, and it's like, what was I thinking? Those are all cool. Those are all natural. But when it's somebody like, I made a mistake on Monday, and it's just killing me, and it's like, it's Thursday. You've got to move past it.
You got to move past it.
But you at this point, and even if somebody else is still upset about it, you can't control how
that's on them. That's on them.
Control how you feel about these things, and that's.
I can only do better the next time. That's the thing. And that's something that, back to improv, my relationship with failure and making mistakes and all that stuff has totally, I can't say it's 100% different, but now I have a real tool set so that I can acknowledge I made a mistake, but not, feel like it's the end of the world. Cause in improv, if you make a mistake, sometimes the best things happen from it. And also, I'm not a brain surgeon. I don't think you're a brain surgeon. None of this is really all that important. That's the other thing.
Yeah. And it's funny because you go back to the improv thing and it's like, I beat myself up more over improv than anything else. And it's the thing that I'll sit there and say I do because I love it.
Yeah.
I don't have to do improv. I have to go to work.
Right.
I have to go to the grocery store. I don't have to do improv. It's something that I do for me. And yeah, it's the thing that I will find myself putting pressure on myself. And after the show, I should have been so much better. I let everybody down instead of just stopping and being like, you know what? My goal was to have fun tonight, and I had fun tonight. And look at that. I need to remind myself of that still.
Yeah. Well, and I think again it goes to mindset and knowing that everybody on the team is most likely having the exact same thought about them, and not everybody could let everybody down. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nobody else is thinking about you. They're all wrapped up in their head. Like it just.
And we're not like fighting for stage time in New
York
or Chicago. Everybody I'm performing with is my friend.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking them over on stage.
No.
They're there to have fun too and enjoy spending time with their friends.
Yep.
Like so many things like I'm doing right now, sometimes you need to remind yourself of those things.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you can have the conversation with yourself. Sometimes you have to be able to have the conversation that we're having, where you can have this conversation with somebody else and you'll hear yourself say it and it helps you, helps you get to where you're going. And I'll tell you, like, my job is it's IT, but engineering.
Yeah.
So there's times where I need to talk to another engineer. I'll be banging my head against something. I'll talk to another engineer about it, and I will come up with the answer because I needed to hear myself say it out loud to somebody else who I trust.
Yep. Because in your head, it's all about shortcuts, right? You don't need to tell yourself the narrative, but when you go to somebody else, you start and you tell yourself the narrative. And you're like, oh, I wasn't focusing on that. The answer's right there,
Yeah, and
we both.
One thing I wanted to say, I performed Buster Rap with Amy many times, so she knows. I have never lost in Buster Rap due to anything I have done wrong. It's always been poor judgment. They're taking me out to let other people shine in there.
Yeah.
My freestyle rap skills, and I'm fine with that. Got to give everybody a chance to shine.
Yeah. What is this, little kid soccer? Everybody gets a trophy. I love Buster Rap.
I do too. It is. Buster Rap was I first started doing that one a decade ago.
Yeah.
With Comedy Sports, and it was the first improv game I'd ever done where I'd be driving home doing Buster Rap.
But doing Buster Rap.
Everywhere you do it, it's a little bit different. Yeah. Where I first started doing it, it was a little bit of a funkier background sound than what we do now. So I could be in my car just driving along doing Buster. Well, it is my favorite.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I'm so thankful that I have Buster Rap in my life.
That's right.
You can't do, and you know what? You can't do it by yourself.
Nope.
It's not as fun.
I mean, yeah, you can, but you're going to get looks and it's not fun.
Right. I will say we're going to go into this probably in a few different directions, and we've already gone into it in some directions.
Yeah.
But one of the many reasons that I'm grateful that I got into improv is that, my favorite thing to see in improv, my favorite thing to see is people walking into their second improv class. They're so giddy, so excited, because in that first class, often for the first time in your life, you meet all these people who have the same itch that you do, and they're scratching it the same way that you do. in the first improv class, anywhere you go, is almost always, a lot about letting yourself kind of pull out of yourself. Everybody will be walking around the room. Now you're really sad, and everybody's over the top.
Yeah, and they also come in not understanding what it is. I mean, nobody, unless you've taken an improv class, you don't know what really to expect.
I think everybody who does it is looking for the excuse, looking to be able to let that side of themselves out. And it's a side of themselves that people who don't do it a lot of times use that to kind of make fun of you for. It's like, oh, come on, look at that person over there. And they're like, I'll go to a show and heckle you. That'll be fun. Ha, 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 ha. It's like, no, asshole, that is not that at all. And for the first time you meet all these other people, it's like such a safe space when you could all do that together and everything. And I'm grateful that I have so many people in my life that I can let that part of me out. I didn't start doing improv till I was 35. So for the first 35 years of my life, I was like that. And I was also, very afraid of getting made fun of for a lot of those things. Since I didn't always deal with that well. Sometimes I'd get angry. Sometimes I'd just kind of, recede into myself. But now, so many people, so many friends that I have, there's not one, I perform at 2 different theaters, not one person there I don't enjoy being around. Not one person that I'm like, I don't want them around me. It's all people that I could feel very comfortable being able to open up and just, be as wacky or as zany as possible as I want to be. So
that's cool.
Yeah. And I say that to say, like right now, probably everybody watching is an improviser, but not everybody who may watch this down the road is
right.
one.
We have a lot of offline viewers. I'm convinced of it. I don't have any data, but we have some,
Maybe stupid to be honest.
Well, your German connection. I think we're really big in Germany. Us and Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
And they're going to be watching. They're going to be watching. 6 hours. Ahead. So. Yes.
And to those people, I would say you don't have to do improv. I think it's easy when people first get into it to be like, you should do this. You don't have to do it, but you should do something that's yours.
Yeah.
Find something that you enjoy doing. Find something other than work and home. And find it that it's yours.
I love it. I was doing the math in my head. I started 7 years ago. I'm 49. So I started when I was just about 43 years old, 42, 43 years old. And I'd moved to Rhode Island. I'd been here a year. And, one of the things I said in my last career, all my friends were work friends. And I just said, when I moved to my new job, I want to have work friends, but I don't want that to be my sole, interaction. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I didn't think I could find something that would bring as much, has led me to the joy that I have found. And it gets harder to find joy as you get older. You become a little bit more complacent. As a single dude, people marry and have kids, and you lose a lot of people. So you really have to work a little bit harder. It's I think high school is easy to make friends, and then college is easy to make friends, and then it kind of goes downhill from there. Yeah.
And I would say, and I think this is probably true of any world that you get into outside of work and home. It has been true of improv for me. Is I have been brought to so many other places than just doing improvisational comedy. For example, what you and I are doing right now.
Right.
Never would have gotten into it if I hadn't have started with that improv piece. I've done acting gigs. Never would have started.
Would have done it. Yeah,
Murder Mystery. Amy, who's with us right now, she does a lot of jokes. Where they do jokes, writing jokes, things like that. And she's introduced me to some of those.
Right.
Another place that I would not have gotten to if I had gone and done that very first improv.
Yeah, I brought it to my work. I do leadership training for college students. It's part of my job. And then, I learned a way to represent it using skills we use in improv to the point where, my improv partner, my training partner, Kate Sales, and I developed it, and we've taken it on the road to other schools and have kind of a side gig every once in a while, you know. So things I would have never, you know, I'd be doing the same old shtick with leadership training and probably bored out of my mind. And now I just, every time I learn something new about improv, I'm like, oh, how does that impact being a leader? And it's so fun, you know.
I am honestly and sincerely so grateful and so thankful. However you define those words, wrong or right, for the friends that I have made in improv. And
Me too.
you know what? Since I've gotten into it, the parties I've gone to have been so funny. The
Yes.
parties you'll go, you're at a party with a bunch of comedians.
Yeah, it's funny.
Are that much funnier.
Yeah. Here's something else that I'm thankful for, and it came from improv. I got back into, and I never really played hardcore when I was a kid, but I played it. Is Dungeons and Dragons role playing, and let me tell you, it's a whole new game when you play with improvisers, like making up characters on the spot and talk about funny situations. So that's been my COVID, like that's what this, and I'm all, oh, and the other thing is our show and this. Those two things. So Dungeons and Dragons playing, man, and it's been nice because we have friends that have moved to Chicago from Pig, and they're in the campaign, so I get to see them on a monthly basis. And shout out to Steve and Chris Iannucci, Steve Dion. But then the other thing is that early in COVID, a good friend of mine who used to be a student of mine in my job at Western New England College, he started a weekly YouTube show, and I started watching it. And Jerrod, I think you know him, James Tierney. They're from the Happy Valley Improv, and I just found so much joy watching him and his improv person just have conversations like this and be goofy on camera and that sort of thing, that inspired me to invest in software, and from that came this show, and it also came Would I Lie to You to help Pig get through the lean times where we couldn't meet, you know. So again, those things are what got me through COVID as a single dude living by myself. Those are the social interactions that I don't know if I didn't have, boy, I'd be a lot less happy, you know, like it would have been a lot harder, you know.
If I didn't have those shows, I would have not had really any social interactions. Like my job puts me on the phone with people a lot, which is cool. But you know, a job is a job. That's not a social interaction. And it was really the only thing that I had. And then because I couldn't go anywhere, I could make everybody's shows. It was It was great, you know, making the comments in the YouTube stream or whatever. If you're not actually watching the show, I was craving it so much. And you know, when you're by yourself and there's not how many, when you don't have other people right there, it was really easy a lot of times to like really fall into this, like, I'm not doing anything. And I spent a lot of time on my couch. I've got one cushion on my couch that's a lot thinner than the other cushions that maybe I need to switch some around because in the prime couch spot. I never spent so much damn time on my couch.
No, I hear you. You know, that was it. And, you know, you can, okay, I'm getting social with work stuff. I got to get in the camera for my air quotes. But it's not the same because you're probably not generally laughing. I mean, I enjoy my colleagues and I will laugh at them, but on the day to day, you're not laughing nearly as much. But when you do these things and, the laughing is so important. It's just such a cathartic release, and it was so hard to find laughs until I found this, you know. And now I don't ever want this to end. You know, I love being in person, but I do really I love the comments. Like I do it for I learned so many people how funny they were, especially the introverts. I feel like the YouTube comments were the introverts shined because they didn't have to be the loudest person in the room and they could think about it, and it was very cerebral. And I learned how funny some folks were that I knew they were funny, but I didn't know they were that kind of funny, you know. And
some people like like shine in different mediums and everything.
Yeah.
Great to see some of those people out. And you know what I think is great about all that is it's a way to put a silver lining and find things to have been thankful and grateful for over a overall rough year, a year unlike
Yeah.
any other year in any of our lives. I mean, I've been to some pretty disparate locations in the world.
Yeah.
People who are watching, I was a military guy, I was a Marine. I've been in crappy places in Iraq and in
Sure.
crappy places in Afghanistan. But what gets you through that is the people that are around you. And it's almost a trope how much you hear that from vets of VFW, vets of foreign wars and everything.
Yep.
You have those people there, and that's what you really rely on, and not just rely on for the actions and activities that are going on around you, but just for your own sanity. You have bad days, everywhere you go, you have bad days, and it's so much easier to pick yourself up from bad days when there's other people there.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so last year, I do remember, I didn't want to, I stayed home for Thanksgiving, and I made my own Thanksgiving meal. And I love shepherd's pie, so I made a Thanksgiving shepherd's pie that was turkey on the bottom, then a layer of stuffing, then a layer of mashed potatoes. Right? Good thinking, huh?
Yeah.
Turkey got dry. So the moral of that story is the next time I do that, and I don't know why I was thinking of Thanksgiving, little gravy with the.
That's what I was gonna say. You just missed the gravy.
Yeah, exactly. If I'd have just, and I think that's a great move. And now, because of that, I have a great idea for honestly a pretty easy meal to do. That is wonderful because you and I have talked about how much we love the Thanksgiving meal
and the sandwiches. We talked about the sandwiches.
The post-Thanksgiving meal, I honestly, with the exception of green bean casserole, which is delicious.
Your thing.
Reheated green bean casserole might even be better than the fresh stuff. Those post-Thanksgiving meals are so good.
Yeah, so good. So good. Yeah, no, that sounds like genius, first of all. That sounds genius. I agree with the gravy. It is. I like shepherd's pie, but I'm very particular about the ingredients. So I don't like a real traditional shepherd's pie. So, because I think lamb's in it or something.
I guess if you get like
the real Irish shepherd's pie. Yeah,
I mean, of lamb or something like that. I grew up with it being hamburger. Totally happy with that.
Sure.
I did not like cake as a kid. So but when it's your birthday, mom and dad will make you your favorite meal. And mine was shepherd's pie. And I had a couple birthdays where they just put the candles right in the shepherd's pie. And I was so happy with that.
That's so cool.
Exactly
that's what birthdays should be, right?
Yep.
That's funny. Yeah. So thankful for birthdays.
Yeah.
Thankful for family and people that take care of you, either your biological or your found families.
Yep.
Or both. In my case, both.
Yeah. Well, I'm at the phase that, like, when you're a kid, you are the receiver of gifts, and you get older and you have kids of your own, and you are the giver of gifts. But mom and dad, it takes a little while for mom and dad to not think of you as that little kid, and they want to get you nice gifts and everything. But time goes on, and they love you still. You still love your kids. They still love their kids. But not like I'm gonna spend all this money on the best gift in the world, and I'm difficult to buy for anyways. But that's kind of the phase in life I am in now, where I'm a gift giver, because it's not like the kids or the parents where it's more of a fixed income. I'm working. I've got my budget under control. I have more disposable income than other people in my life. So that is where I am in life right now.
Yeah.
But my daughter, and I've talked about it before, she's in her early 20s, and she gifted me my
your iWatch
for my birthday. And you know what? It is so cool when your kids reach that age and they can get you good gifts. I am so thankful for that.
Nice. No more handmade cards. The real stuff's coming at you.
I don't have to pretend you like those anymore. No, I don't want to say that. because I do love them. My niece made me a.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have thought to bring it over here to show you. She makes wonderful handmade cards for me. So I don't want to like disparage them at all.
We kid.
Yeah, but it is very cool when they're starting to reach the age where they're getting you the cool gifts. It's like every part of your kids' lives is wonderful, but it's also wonderful when the kids become adults and that they're in the part of the life where it's like good gift givers.
Well, but the other thing is like, I love giving gifts. I really, truly, and it's, you know who I love giving gifts to? My parents, because they.
Your co-host, but go on.
What's that? And my co-host. I just, the iron's on the way. I was going to say, if anybody's having trouble with getting Jerrod a gift, iron paraphernalia. You don't need the iron because he's got the Rowenta. He's got the perfect. But like,
engineering.
Yeah. Oh, Jerrod, I had
our show, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Rowenta, come on and join us. Come on, sponsor our show. Jerrod, when I was at this conference, I had to iron a shirt because we dress up one night, so I had to just press it. It gets wrinkled in the travel, and it was the worst iron.
Oh, that's
I thought about you. I'm like ironing, and I'm like, Jerrod would be so. Like he'd do it because you do enjoy just the process of ironing, but it was so much harder than it needed to be.
I hate travel ironing boards. I could do a whole show on how much I hate travel ironing boards. The little ones get in hotels that you put on the bed. I hate those.
Yeah. This one was a full size. Shout out to Marriott Residence Inn in Hartford. You get the full ironing board, but it was a no-name iron. I'd never heard of the brand before, and it sputtered and pittered and got water on my shirt, all that stuff. I had another point in there, but I lost it.
Thankful for my Rowenta iron,
That's
German engineered.
German
I've got
engineered
some ironing that I haven't had a chance to do, and I might not have a chance to do it till this weekend, but so looking forward to it.
That's it. I'll be honest with you. I only buy clothes that come out of the dryer pretty much pressed. Oh, my good friend Daryl Miller. I used to work with Daryl. Now we're just friends. Hey, Daryl.
The insurance capital of the world. Look out, little kids looking for something cool about Connecticut. We've got Hartford, the insurance capital of the world.
And it's not even really that anymore.
It's not even that. It's the former insurance capital of the world.
Yeah, it's
even worse.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And really, the streets roll up at 5 o'clock. We had to walk from the conference center to the hotel, and I was like, there's nobody on the streets. Like, there's nothing going on.
And you know what? Like, I feel like Hartford's a nicer looking city now than it ever has been.
Sure, because no one's there to dirty it.
Exactly.
Like, there's no people, so
that new city smell to it.
Yeah, that's it. If you don't let the kids in the living room, it's gonna stay perfect forever.
Our show would not be complete every week without a little bit of shit talking Hartford. Gotta be done. Integral part of the show.
Yeah. So funny. What I want to say something else I was thankful for, and I totally forgot. I'm such a brat. I can't even remember what I'm thankful for.
I am thankful that there is an Alzheimer's disease vaccine that is in the works. That I believe is about to start testing on people.
Can't wait.
I am excited about that because I've become forgetful and I'm terrified.
Me too.
Of that disease.
And I think just as humans, as we get older, we get forgetful to begin with, and that's scary. But to have something that actually is attacking that facility is just
I forget words all the time. So like I am teaching, I could not remember the word confession in a class. And I was talking about, in a scene, sometimes when you're stuck, I couldn't think of the word confession, make a confession. So I used the word, it's like a grand admission. What's another word for that? And our good friend Kelly Shiloh, has been making fun of me for that nonstop. Since. It sounds like a good grand admission. I went to church and did my grand admission to the priest. And I deserve every bit of it. I absolutely deserve every bit of it. The worst part of like forgetting words is you have to admit that it's totally deserved when people make fun of you for that. And it's so much worse when it's funny. Like if it's not funny, you can go and zip zap zap them back. But when
Right,
it's funny,
right.
it's like, oh, I want to be mad, but that was so funny.
Man, she could be a slow burn. All of a sudden, you forget she's in the room, and all of a sudden, ow!
Yeah.
Kelly got me. She's just waiting. She's waiting for me to mess up.
More Inside Baseball, us on the show.
That's fine. That's fine.
Our friends, so, to all of our German viewers,
Yeah.
Translate. That's a local friend of ours here in the Rhode Island area.
That's fine. We'll mention Hasselhoff one more time, and then I'll put them back on there. Yeah, I used to really have like a weird ability to recall like actors and who was in what movie, or who I would see a person on screen and I'd be the one that would be like, oh yeah, you know him from this, or you know her from that. And that has not even slowly, that very quickly dried up. And now like this is how my mind works. I heard the theme song to Maude, right? And so then I needed to know that actress's name that played Maude. And so I figured it out, but not as nearly as quick as I should have been. And then I started thinking about the Golden Girls, because B. Arthur is the woman's name, was in the Golden Girls. And then I tried to, in my head, because then I got to test myself, because I didn't achieve. I needed to get all the Golden Girls first names and last names if I could do it. And that was my shower this morning. Like that's what, and I used to be able to like this, and it took me, I had to play mind games, and it took me to figure out Sophia's name. It took forever. I was out of the shower, and yeah, exactly, Amy. That's how it started. I started saying, what's the lyric? Lady Goodbye. Oh yeah. And then there's Maude, and then there's Maude, and then there's Maude. And then I was like, what's her name? Let's see. That's Daryl says, that's all I did watching Dune. I needed to watch it a second time to see it again. Since the first viewing, I was connecting the actors from their previous roles. Exactly, Daryl. Yeah, I can do the same thing. I did it. I watched The Harder They Fall. That gets an Ian 4.5 out of 5-star review. It's on Netflix. Watch it. It's with Idris Elba and a whole bunch of other great people. But they were people that, like Lakeith Stanfield, I knew him, and then I didn't want to go to IMDb, and I spent the whole movie, and then finally I had to go to IMDb, and I realized, oh, he was in Get Out. He was in just a ton of stuff that I like, you know.
I watched The Eternals this weekend.
Did you like it? I really liked it.
I love Marvel movies.
I know you do.
I'm such a fan of them. And my favorite ones have been the ensemble ones, like Avengers, all the Avengers ones, Captain America, Civil War.
Yeah, and Guardians of the Galaxy. And
yeah, so I thought this would be one that I would just love.
Yeah.
An ensemble one, MCU, all that good stuff. And I was very mad. And I was talking to a friend of mine on Facebook and then in Facebook Messenger about it today, because she felt the same way. And, she had some good points. And I think it's kind of come down to, for me, is I think I like the ensemble ones so much because I have some history with all of the ones who are in it. And in this one, I didn't have a history with any of them. So it was like you're learning who they are, deciding how you feel about them, and at the same time, they're all there together. So
and it's bigger than any other ensemble we've seen. Yeah. It's bigger than the Avengers. And, I think Guardians of the Galaxy was the exception to that, because nobody, unless you're really into comics, you didn't really know them that well. Yeah. But that just was perfect casting. And there was only 5 of them that you had to keep track of. With the Eternals, it was like, God, I still don't know what everybody's about. I know their powers, but but I just felt it's a slow burn, and it's gonna pay off. I think this is where a sequel is just gonna be perfect because they set it up.
I think so too. So what I think would have been better, is, Kit Harington was in it, and loved him in Game of Thrones. I'm so glad he's gonna be in my life in the MCU now. And he's going to be, I think, the Black Knight is the name. Yeah. I think they would have been better off doing The Black Knight starring Kit Harington first and introducing a few of the peripherals on the side, ones that were around him in that movie, get to know them a little bit there. And then when the Full Eternals movie came, I would have had a history of some of them, plus some new ones get introduced there. And I think it would have been more enjoyable that way.
I honestly think, I agree with that. I think that's one way to go. I think the other thing is this should have been a 2-part movie. And I knew that they wouldn't do it because nobody knows the Eternals. It's a lot to bank on. But if the first movie was just getting to know them before there was any kind of, I'm not going to spoil it, but, before they got to the big division thing, right? And there would have been so much more payoff. Like we would have liked all the characters so that we would have had true angst when they were disagreeing about things, and I felt it, but it wasn't as deep as I think it could have been. But, that's a big risk to commit 2 movies,
I do think you can't have a Marvel movie without the fate of mankind being in doubt. That's just every single one.
I mean, if the stakes aren't that big, why even have the movie?
So, and I almost wonder if maybe it's been so many times when the fate of mankind has been on the edge that we're a little used to it.
We are a little used to it. You're right.
Well, is that big? Like this one? Well, again.
Well, they're getting into the cosmic, and and that does raise the stakes, But yeah, with the snap with Thanos, where do you go from there? They really, really did it. Although, did you see the new Spider-Man trailer that dropped yesterday?
I haven't seen that one. I cannot. I'm going to watch it right after I'm done with this because I'm so looking forward.
I just watched it on the big screen when I got home from work because the
next 2 movies I think are Spider-Man and Doctor Strange 2. Those I think are both going to be huge. I think those will be very satisfying.
Wait until you see there's a lot of clips in the trailer with Doctor Strange, and I'm like, this is going to be a ride. This is going to be a friggin' ride.
I can't wait for it.
And Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character, so it's just, I like what's Tom Holland. He's not my favorite Spider-Man, but I like him a lot.
Yeah.
And I think he fits into the Marvel universe perfectly. Like, he's totally acceptable. And I'm also excited. Did you see they announced they're going to do him in high school, and it's going to be it's going to be his origin story as an animated feature. So they'll it'll be this universe's Spider-Man, because we don't need another origin movie of Spider-Man. But I think an animated show, because if you think about it, when you saw him in Civil War, we are really off topic. I'm so sorry, everybody.
I
know. When you saw him in Civil War, he had only had his powers for 6 months. That's going to be a good animated story. What happened in those 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? And you bring up such a good point about we don't need another Spider-Man origin story.
We do not.
I think one of the reasons that MCU, and I'll go all the way back to X-Men, why Marvel to me has blown away DC when it comes to the movies, is how many Batman origin movies have we seen since the first one, I'll say in 1989.
Yeah.
They did that one. They did 2 or 3 that kind of, and they went back to and they've done so many Batman origin stories, and they did start to do that with Spider-Man, because Tom Holland is the 3rd Spider-Man in the last 20 years.
Right.
So I'm glad they really didn't go into that one in the MCU right there, because that is just so. We've seen the same Batman movie 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, what are comic books but today's mythology, right? So you get it. They're going to retell the same story, and especially origin stories, because that's where they have the moral. I mean, the fact that, Peter Parker with great power comes great responsibility, it's ingrained in our culture and that sort of thing. But we've seen it enough. And even though it was kind of ruined in the preview, when Spider-Man, even though you knew it was coming, when Iron Man goes underoos and here comes Spider-Man in Civil War just out, it was so great. And everybody knows who he is. You don't need his origin story. Most people know it,
It's, to me, what's so crazy is like, if before all these movies were getting made a lot, and we know there's been a lot of the Superman movies over the years.
Yeah, yeah.
It hasn't been like it has been in the last 20 years. If you were to name like the most famous superheroes, DC would dominate that list. It would have been Superman and Batman.
Yeah, well, they got 40 years on most of the Marvel characters. Superman was in the early 30s, Batman was in the late 30s, Wonder Woman in the 40s.
But even like Captain America is one who's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
You really stop and think about it. Like in MCU, they made him very high tech, but look at what he really came from. Those have been around a long time too. But no two superheroes were better known than Superman and Batman. They were at their own level. Then you drop down a level and you've got Wonder Woman, and then I think that's where Spider-Man would come in. And maybe because my generation saw him on the Electric Company,
yes,
that's part of.
That's definitely where he became in my consciousness.
So, and then after that, maybe the Incredible Hulk had that TV show.
Yep.
Ferrigno and everything.
Jerrod, don't forget Spider-Man had a late 70s TV show as well with Nicholas Hammond.
That might be another reason why. But DC should have been able to run away with it.
And Wonder Woman had a show, and hell, even though Captain Marvel had a show, Shazam. There was DC, I think, was smarter than, well, not smarter than Marvel, but they really licensed out their property to other mediums that were more accessible, and I think that had a lot to do with it. In the animated show with that catchy theme song, absolutely. And Super Friends, and I just, as a kid, they were just more in your face, but to comics readers, I think once the 60s rolled around and you had DC and Marvel were just, I could see myself being Spider-Man. I cannot see myself being Superman. After a way, I'm not an alien. Batman, I don't have the trauma, but everybody's Peter Parker. Like everybody, oh my God, I don't fit in at school. All those things,
I think even looking back on like the Superman movies, there's been 3 or 4 iterations in my life of Superman's origin story. They just kept making the same movie over
and it's such a boring story. I mean, if you really to pull it apart, Krypton explodes.
Yep.
He gets sent to Earth. Farm family finds him, raises him, teaches him to keep his powers a secret, but then lets him go when he's of age, and he goes to the big city, and he has to figure out how to help humans, how to live among humans. And, and I mean, you could get into the fact that, his secret identity isn't Superman, it's Clark Kent, like that always intrigued me. He takes his glasses off. He puts glasses on, to hide his identity rather than,
But again, there's been multiple movies where he was fighting General Zod.
I
mean, it's the same beat over and over. I think that's where Marvel has done well. And again, well, you know what? It's funny. The X-Men in the last 20 years have kind of had two run-throughs. There's the original one with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen.
Sure. Then they redid it.
The next run-throughs again. And both of those ended in the same place, with Phoenix just kind of blowing up and having, becoming too powerful and having to, go away, either be killed or dying, becoming something else. Both of them, they went to the same place again, and that's for me.
And they need to realize that there are some arcs of the comic books that are perfect. You don't need to modernize them. You just tell that story. And Phoenix is one of them. And they weren't true enough to the source material. They try to shoehorn it into the mythology that they already created with X-Men, and it was too different than, the Phoenix Saga is one of the best arcs of comic books out there. I mean, it just is. This is really, really boring to people.
I think at that point, you're making a movie, bring in some of the comic book writers.
I agree.
I've read some controversy with some of that, like some of the people who develop the characters making no money at all.
Oh, absolutely. It's the same, like Hollywood actors before they started getting pieces of the movies and that sort of thing. You know, if you work for a company to produce art, it always starts out where it's not fair to the people making the art. The money goes to it. And then hopefully, you know, you get to a point where there's a revolution and then people are paid what they're supposed to, you know, unless you're in the music industry. And that still is horrible because we settled it with kind of with CDs and things like that. And then all of a sudden you got streaming and now they're getting, you know, no money on the every listen and all that.
I thought iTunes was kind of the best world for both the artists and the consumers. I loved it because I could buy the song that I wanted without having.
Yeah, it made me stop stealing music.
Yep.
That's all I needed was an easy way to get my music, and I had no problem paying for it.
I always felt kind of screwed when I'd buy a CD hoping there'd be a song I'd like on it, and then it doesn't. Whereas once you could sample a little bit of it and then buy the songs that I wanted, I was more than happy to. And, you know, now with, you know, things like Spotify and Pandora before that, the artists get screwed to that.
Well, for those of you out there, one of the best ways to get music, and it's mostly independent artists, although there's some names on it, is Bandcamp. It's not Bandcamp. What am I thinking of? See, now this is a senior moment.
Yeah, getting old over there.
It is SoundCloud. It is SoundCloud. The money goes directly to the artist. The company takes a little bit, but it's inverted to what the regular thing is. So a lot of artists will put, and you own the tracks. It isn't like DRM or that sort of thing. It is like you own the tracks to do with what you will.
And that's what I'm not. I don't care if Taylor Swift is a multi-millionaire. If I want to listen to a Taylor Swift song, I'm more than happy to buy it. Did you hear?
Are you bringing her up because what she did this week?
I didn't watch any of it, but I am bringing her up because her name is out there and everything.
Well, let me give you a little. This is awesome, right? So her first 4 albums, right?
I know what you're about to say. Yep.
Yeah. So she had that fight with Scooter Braun, and he bought her catalog. So now, while she owns the rights of some of there's 2 rights you can own on a song. She has one of them, but not both of them. And he gets every time the song is played. So what she's doing is re-recording the albums and not changing them, although she changed a little bit, but not really playing them the exact same thing, just re-recording them. Yeah. And this time she owns them. And then the day she released her album Red, she was the biggest played female artist of all time on Spotify in one day. Like it just like those other tracks are now worthless because everybody will listen to these new tracks and she gets the money.
Yeah, I think it was that he owned the right to the songs, to the music that was released. She owned the right to the lyrics.
Yep.
She wrote the lyrics, she wrote the music.
Yep.
So it's easy for her to just re-record that, and now it's a new song. Sorry, Mark,
to me,
that's the way that it should be.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge I don't have anything against Taylor Swift. There's not been a lot. Although I'll be honest with you.
Taylor Swift when I'm driving.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. Someone shared a couple songs of hers with me, and I do really like them. So maybe I'm a little bit biased, but
we lost someone with the Taylor Swift talk, I think.
Oh no!
But to go into all that,
you will never get me to talk about Nickelback. That's
me neither.
Yeah,
I will say that people will say, "Oh, it's not like artists were getting paid every time a song was played on the radio." And really, the truth of it is they found that there was the companies were paying radio stations to give some songs more airplay.
Yeah,
payola. Streaming didn't just replace listening to songs on the radio. They also replaced the media that people were buying from those. Although I don't know how much the artists were even getting from those and how much the studios.
Well, that there it is, and like any new medium, people never expect the new thing to be the way people get their music, so it's always undervalued. It's always like, here's this little thing, we're going to give you pennies on a dollar, but it's not earning a lot, so nobody cares about it until it's earning a lot and they haven't adjusted those prices. And then, there's always that fight to catch up, and you have to fight to make the corporations pay you what. The same thing happened with iTunes, not in the degree, but there was definitely some thought that they should get more money, and Apple's getting too big of a piece of the pie.
Yeah, like this show here. I mean,
yes.
Right now, we're not seeing a dime from this.
Zero. That Rowenta money is not flowing in.
But YouTube is cleaning house.
Cleaning house. They're oh my God. They have to keep putting new servers up just to take care of our traffic.
Making money hand over fist.
Ooh.
We are putting the Mr. and Mrs. YouTube family through college.
That's right. Yeah, their ads. I wonder what ads they serve up on our show.
like Ginkgo biloba and other pills, things like that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know the algorithm. We talked about lambs today. Maybe it's lamb chops.
Maybe.
You
think we're ready for some plugs?
Yeah, let's do some plugs, man.
I think we are at the point.
And let me put this out to the audience. You have any plugs? Put them up. We'll say them on air.
Yeah.
Amy, what you got going on?
Amy's always got stuff going on. We got people doing.
Daryl, what you got going on? Daryl's a friggin' he's a game streamer. He has quite the following. So
making
check out
money hand over fist.
Exactly. He's sponsored. So he's at work, so he may not be listening anymore. Yeah. So what do you got, Jerrod?
So this Friday, I'm performing with Bring Your Own Improv.
Nice.
It'll be my last performance with them for the year because we don't perform there in the month of December. And then I am on the alternate Saturdays, so not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, I'll be at the 7 p.m. show at Providence Improv Guild. So for Bring Your Own Improv, just Google Bring Your Own Improv, and it's so much easier than typing bringyourownimprov.com, but you will see the show times and places. Providence Improv Guild, improvpig.com, or Google Providence Improv Guild, whatever it is.
Whatever you need to do.
However you want to get there. And with Pig, buy the tickets online if you can. That's the way to do it.
It makes being the door person so much easier.
I hope so.
Yeah, it really does.
I hope so.
And so you're performing the 20th?
Is that...
That's a week from Saturday.
17, 18... I'm performing the 19th.
19th.
You heard me counting out. I'm so embarrassed that I was counting out loud. Like, today is Wednesday the 17th, and I counted out loud to get to Friday being the 19th.
So I'm performing, so my plug, I'm performing this Saturday with Would I Lie to You live. So if you're a fan of the web show, this will be the second. Are you in this one?
No, but that is the 20th.
It is the 20th. I thought we might be on the same night. I was going to come early. So we are performing 9:00 show. Would I Lie to You? The first show was a bunch of students that are in our classes. So it was, and Tom Epstein. So it was classes and Tom Epstein.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to do that again. I haven't seen the cast list for Saturday, but it's Daryl says Willie Shackleton. Yeah, he's the host. Kind of a jerk, but he does his thing. But he's not only hosting the show, he's hosting the entire evening at Pig. So $5, you can't go wrong. So you could have such a fun weekend with Bring Your Own Improv and Pig things, and then Amy had something.
She's got a couple.
Yeah. She's at Kismet, which is a theater in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Look at Kismet Improv on Google. And she's Saturday night performing with Dr. Ham in the Kismet in French Home. I think they're on the Artist Village in Pawtucket, I believe. And then she's in Bring Your Own Improv on the 11/26. So check out all of these Greater Providence area improv houses. Daryl did type in. Daryl wants to say he's twitch.tv /Dr. DRM and lately been expanding on his drag persona Charlotte Webb, streaming monthly on Twitch. Yeah, Daryl does he does drag. He games in drag. He's got quite the following. It's a lot of fun to watch. Streaming monthly on Twitch. New pictures on social media. Yeah. So Dr. DRM. Sometimes it's spelled out Dr. DRM. Sometimes it's yeah. I think it's always Dr. DRM like that. So yeah. And then And then I've got additional shows coming up in Kismet in December. Human Interest Stories, December 4th, and Improvised Christmas Carol, December 11th, 18th. If you need a little bit of the holiday fun times, singing an improvised Christmas Carol would probably be a really good way to get you into the holiday spirit. There it is. And she confirmed it's the Hope Artist Village for Kismet.
Right.
Yes. So, boy, there's so many things you can get out there and take a look at. Yeah. Oh, and I also have a show at Pig doing regular improv on December 10th. So, yeah. But I think we have a show that week. I think we have a show. I don't have to plug it yet. I can plug it at our next show. So, yeah.
All right.
All right. That was a good show. I mean, totally all over the place. And looks like 4 of you really hung in here the whole time. And a 5th kept coming back in and out.
Right. If that was a mistake, I'll take it.
Hey, doesn't matter. We appreciate. And then, of course, tomorrow we get our German numbers in, and it's going to be, hundreds of thousands of viewers. So, yeah, we really appreciate it. On behalf of Daryl and I, on behalf of Jerrod and I, I'm looking at the comments. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
And try to be thankful and try, do your best. You know what? Just do your best at being you. That's all anybody can ask for,
If you can't be you, be as much like me as you can.
That's right. Yeah. Try, if we all can't be ourselves, we need to be Jerrod. I mean,
yes,
that they're teaching that in school.
World would be a much better place.
Exactly. All right, my friend, I will see you in 2 weeks. Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's do the awkward wave. You ready?
Okay.
Yay! Oh, it's so hard without a mouse.